Yeah, we're on. Come to that.
Hi everybody and happy Pride. My name's Jackie Earle and I'm the Chief Executive Officer for Leicester LGBT Centre, and I'm joined today by some of our service users for our live Q&A session. So if you'd like to introduce yourselves.
Hello,
sorry, Kat.
Hi, I'm Kat. I've been a service user at the centre for 18 months, I think. And yeah.
Okay, I'm Johnny. I've been a service user for about a year now. I go to several of the groups that run. And yeah, that's me.
Ray?
Hi, I'm Joe. I've been going to the centre for 3 years now, predominantly in Living Out Loud.
And I'm Ray. I've been going to the centre since November last year to Misfits and Living Out Loud.
Thanks all. So to kick us off with the questions for our live Q&A, Kat is starting with a couple of questions first.
Yeah. What are the centre's intentions regarding counselling services and provisions with less face-to-face interactions likely to be in for the foreseeable future, and that as a service as a whole?
We've got various plans set so far for our counselling service, so we're very much hoping within the next few weeks that we'll be able to restart some of our face-to-face counselling. It will be on a limited basis to start with, just to be sure that we've got our COVID-19 workplace security and risk assessments running in place. But moving forward, what we've recognised over the last months is that there are many people, for a number of reasons, that aren't able to access the centre, be that because of transport, because they live out in the counties, or for a whole range of other reasons. So moving forward, we will be looking at delivering a blended option of face-to-face and digital counselling and telephone counselling. So we're not, even once we've passed the pandemic and things hopefully get back to normal, we'll still be delivering our counselling in a multiple choice of ways so that people can access at whatever they choose. We're hoping very much that within a few weeks we'll be back being able to deliver the centre counselling face-to-face for the couple of days a week, and looking at being able to manage that around the building and the footfall through the building. We should be in a position to see up to 15 clients a day. We've been doing quite a bit of work in the building just to be sure that we can maintain the social distancing and use bigger spaces for counselling. So, thanks, Kat.
That sounds like there's a lot of plans on the go there.
Yes, lots of things.
A slightly less serious question. The centre's involvement in the Leicester Comedy Festival last year included hosting a show in the centre itself. Mama G's, I went to it, it was great. And my child really enjoyed themselves as well. Is the centre looking to have further involvement in that festival or any other event?
Yeah, so we've, I think Leicester Comedy Festival is likely to look a little bit different next year, but we've also already registered our interest to take part again. But we'd like to look at other events as well moving forward, because we know that event worked pretty well for us. So moving forward, really happy to hear from people. Looking at things like maybe open mic nights, getting other artists along to do different events at the centre on evenings and weekends. And I've already spoken to Mama G just because they're involved in Pride today anyway. And I've already said that we're really keen to get them back along at the centre for another event, and maybe that will be the Comedy Festival event next year. Okay. Johnny, I think your questions are next. can you pop your... Hi.
Okay, yeah, so my first question is to do with groups, and I was just wondering, how does the centre decide what groups to run? Is that based on what funding you get, or do you do any research towards that?
Okay, so it's based on a range of different things. So one of the things for us as a centre is we recognise that it's really, really important to listen to our service users, find out what the local needs are within the communities, and we do that through a range of different ways. So this year, some of you will know we started an annual survey through SurveyMonkey to hear the views and comments and feedback from service users, and those things then trickle through in our planning and our decisions around what groups we run. We also regularly take feedback, as you know, after groups to see what people have enjoyed, not enjoyed, and we include all those things into our planning. The other thing that we do is we look at local and national research and statistics and use that to inform our decisions around what groups are needed. So then the question about funding is, there are obviously times where funding opportunities come along. There are specific pots of funding available for LGBT plus organisations that we know we can access, and they might be for specific pieces of work. But the specific funding really that we look at is more about core funds. So funds for things like managing our utility bills for the centre and looking at those things that not specifically about groups, but maintaining the organisation. The funding that we look for to put groups on is we go out and seek that funding that's suitable to what the needs of our local communities are. So it's very much based on service user decisions and input and feedback from those people that are accessing the centre.
Okay, cool, great. So the second question, just to follow up on that, is are there any groups that you would love to put on at the minute, but you haven't for any reason? And if you can't, what are the reasons behind that?
I mean, there's lots and lots of things that we'd like to do. One of the things that I'd like to look at moving forward in the future is the possibility of a Saturday social, perhaps once a month, or a Sunday social, which is open to the wider LGBT plus communities. And the other thing I'd like to do is look more about organising and facilitating groups to meet outside of the centre, not just in the centre. So maybe, I don't know, walking groups, getting people out in the communities and involved with different things in the communities, as daft as it might be for some people, but, you know, going out and doing picnics in the park, going off to do local gardening projects. So it's about building people's skills as well. And the other thing that we're looking at the moment is how we can offer more support to children and young people, because we recognise that there's a need to be able to go out and deliver those things. And I'd really love for us to be able to get out into the counties more and deliver some more programmes of work in the counties and some more groups in the counties. So some of it might be about us being the place that is able to facilitate those groups. So yeah, so there's lots of things that we would still like to do, but I would really like to look at whether we can do some more social spaces for adults, and, you know, maybe a Saturday social or a Sunday social.
That sounds great.
Thanks, Johnny. Ray?
Hi, yeah, I think you might have already answered some of my questions, but that's okay. My first one was, what is the centre doing at the current time towards working towards running face-to-face sessions? Okay,
so we've got a variety of things going on in the background at the moment, whilst still maintaining all of our digital sessions and groups. We since about the second week into August, have been back in the centre as a small team of staff. And obviously to be sure that we're working within the regulations and guidelines around safe workplaces. We're restricted on the number of staff we've got in the building at any one time. But we've put various things into place. So we're doing, you know, hand sanitizers and all those measures, keeping the 2-metre distance, lots of signage going up around the building. And the staff are just finding their way round and just settling back into being back in the building, because, you know, there's a lot of different feeling out in the communities and for different individuals and staff involved about how people feel going back into work after some time off, and with the fact that COVID is still around. So we've been doing some background work with the intention that we can hopefully look, like I said earlier with the counselling, to offer some counselling services again as we move into, you know, mid to late September, hopefully. And we'd like to look at that for groups. The bit that we've got to do this week when we're back in the office is look at how we're going to manage that, because there's a restriction on numbers. And the last thing that we want to do is reduce the number of people that are able to access face-to-face that may want to. So it's really important for us to be sure that we get the right balance. And moving forward, the same as with the counselling, we recognise that it would be really important to maintain some of our digital groups and spaces for people to engage with the centre, because some people aren't able to get into us. So for both one-to-one support and group sessions and social spaces, we'll still maintain some of our digital platforms for that as well. So watch this space. We're really, I can't wait to get the groups back in at the centre, and I'd love to go like that and say, right, we're back to normal, come back in, because, you know, that's what we're about and that's why we're there. But we're working at pace to try and get things so that we can, you know, people can come back through the door.
Yeah, that's great. And it kind of leads into my next question, which is, because it's all online and everything at the moment, is the centre doing anything to make themselves sort of known digitally, sort of like a known resource, especially for more vulnerable, or like you say, people who don't necessarily have access to the centre? Are you doing anything extra to sort of...
I mean, over the last months, and this will certainly continue over the coming months, we are actively promoting what we do across Facebook, across Twitter, across Instagram, and we're trying our best to reach out to as many people as possible. I think one of the things that we've probably got still room to develop is our links with some partner organisations, and getting out there and saying, you know, we're here, please, because some people go to another service maybe first for some support, maybe a GP practice, or to a member of staff within a school environment or university. So it would just be, I think we've got some work to do around our promotion there, just to be sure that people know, you know, we're still out there. But I'm quite confident we're heading in the right direction with that.
Okay, that's great.
Thanks. Joe? You're just on... Ah.
I've got her. Right. Yes, my first question is, what does the future hold for another transgender, non-gender, gender fluid group similar to Living Out Loud once it's finished this year?
Okay, so we've got through till September 2021 with that piece of work in terms of funding. We've got a number of things. So just going back to Johnny's question earlier about, you know, how do we decide on what groups we do and what services we deliver? One of the things that we'll be doing in the 6 to 9 months prior to that piece of work finishing and the funding ending is working with service users to see, you know, what is it that people want moving forward? What are people's needs? What support do people want to see happening? And we'll use that to base any future funding applications to look at how we can apply for additional pots of money, because what we'd like to see is that we can continue that piece of work. And we have a fundraising strategy and a fundraising map that basically at any given time I know what's due to end in terms of our funding, and we work ahead of that time scale to be sure that we are not in a position where we are unable to deliver groups anymore. The other thing for me is there's always that opportunity that we can support and facilitate peer-led sessions and groups. So, you know, we've got a huge building in the heart of Leicester City, and when we can get back to the new normal or some sort of normality, that building is there as a resource for members of the LGBT plus and wider communities. And certainly, you know, people could come to me and say, could we use this space to deliver this group? And we would be in a position to be able to look to support that. But definitely it's not something that we want to see come to an end next year. So we'll be working at speed to look to see what other options there are.
And the second question is, what, if any, is going to be the digital involvement within the centre with groups and other future projects?
Can I just check with you there, Joe? Do you mean whether or not there might be a blended option if we've got some?
Yes, because I know on the Wednesday one, some of them have said they much prefer doing the digital than coming to the centre at first in their early stages.
So it would be about combining both a face-to-face group session with maybe some option for people to join digital?
Yeah, I think people would like that, yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly something we can look at, and a really, really good suggestion, because I think for people to see that as that first point of access, like you say, some people might not feel they want to come straight into the centre. So it will be something that we can look at over the coming weeks now. Obviously with all the measures in place in terms of safeguarding those people, and for some people they might not want to be liaising for a digital platform if they're in the centre face to face. So it'll just be about getting that balance right, really. So, okay, does anybody have any further questions they'd like to ask before we go? Is anybody, anything that's come up during the conversation that's, no? Okay, can I just say a massive thanks from the Leicester LGBT Centre for joining us today. It's been really great that you've asked the questions that you have. And I don't know whether we've got any other comments coming in. Ruben is just looking now, so just bear with us 1 second. And we'll just check. I'm not sure, but I don't think so, because if there are any further questions that have come in during our time streaming live on Facebook, then we will answer those and get back to you. We'll put a blog out on our social media messages so that people can see those. So once again, thank you all for your time today, and I look forward to being able to see you soon, hopefully back in the centre or joining you one of your groups. So thank you.
It's been great. Thanks a lot, Jackie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you later. Bye.
See ya. Bye-bye.
Leaving